10 from R.L. Stein's Fear Street. So what has happened? Amanda and her parents have left Fear Street for the summer. They're renting a house. They get but Amanda has to take summer school because she failed algebra. Now, does that sound familiar? Sounds familiar to me. In either case, they need a sitter for the kids, the smaller kids. So we have this girl named Chrissy. Well, Amanda thinks she's evil. Perhaps she may be. She was floating off the floor. One night she saw her floating on the floor. Then she tries to call her friend from Fear Street. What happens? The phones start melting and all kinds of stuff. So let's see what happens with Amanda. Chapter 10, Bloodshed. Her heart racing, Amanda tore up the stairs and down the hall toward her parents' room. "Mom, Dad," she cried as she burst through the doorway. "The phone! You have to see the phone." When you saw it puddled in red heap on the kitchen floor, they'd have to believe her. "Huh?" Amanda cried out, astonished to find their room empty. What was that metallic clanking sound coming from outside? She peered out their bedroom window, surprised to see a tow truck hooking up the family's mashed station wagon. Her parents stood watching in the driveway. She hadn't even heard them leave the house. Amanda turned away from the window and spotted Chrissy's reference sheet lying on a nice table. She snapped it up, folding it into the back pocket of her denim jeans. "Today I'll make Mom check Chrissy's references once and for all," she promised herself. But when they see the destroyed phone, that might not even be necessary. Chrissy will be gone. So what do you think? Think Chrissy will be gone? Amanda hurried back downstairs to the kitchen. She stopped in the doorway and gaped in surprise. Oh no! The red phone sat in the cradle as if nothing had ever happened to it. She stifled a scream of frustration. What's going on here? An icy shiver ran down her entire spine. Am I losing it? Am I totally losing it? A flaming newspaper clipping, a melting phone. If I tell my parents, they'll have to have me locked up for sure. Amanda glanced around the kitchen. Where was Chrissy anyway? Oh, that's the problem. From their uncovered cage, Salt and Pepper warbled brightly. Chrissy wasn't in the house. Amanda could tell that much from the happy songs of the birds. And I'm not going to stick around until Chrissy shows up, Amanda decided. She grabbed her canvas purse and hurried out back. Now the thing about the birds is they're happy because Chrissy's not in the house. The animals are acting strangely around Chrissy. And pulled the bike from the shed. Chrissy had been right about one thing. She was going to be late for summer school if she didn't hurry. The tow truck pulled away as Amanda came around the front of the house. "How are you feeling?" her mother called as Amanda pedaled near. "Fine," Amanda called back. "Never better. In town, she stopped at a public phone near Sea Haven General Store. She called Susie again. Mrs. Baton answered. Susie said she was going to the library or something. Continuing on to Skaven High, Amanda parked her bike and jogged to room 10. Dave Malone smiled when she walked in. Amanda smiled back. She took the closest seat to Dave she could find. How ironic, she thought, that she loved being in algebra class. Everything is so normal here, she thought, as she opened the algebra book. The thing I'd dreaded most, summer school, is turning out to be my one bright spot of sanity. Get together with your partner, Mrs. Taylor told them down toward the end of class. Dave slid over beside Amanda. We're in luck, he said. We're still in chapter 1. In the chapter I understand. Great, Amanda said, smiling at him. Yeah, enjoy it while you can. Next week we start cosines and that stuff. That makes no sense to me at all. I guess we'll all have to struggle through together, Amanda said. I don't know, Dave said, shaking his head. You may lose all respect for me when you see how bad I really am at this. You can't be worse than I am, Amanda assured him. This could get ugly, Dave whispered. When class ended, Dave asked, How's the mother's helper working out? The one you were curious about the other day. Amanda shook her head grimly. Don't ask. You'd never believe me. Try me, he said softly. So he's going to tell, is she going to tell him everything? Amanda gathered her books. Dave walked with her toward the front of school. As they walked, she told him everything that had happened with Chrissy. You think I'm insane, right? Amanda said as they reached the front lawn. You don't seem nuts to me, Dave said seriously. There's no reason for you to make these things up. His words encircled Amanda like a warm hug. It was wonderful to be believed. I'm not crazy, really. All these things happened. I don't know why or how, but they did. You've got to get out of the house, Dave urged in a low voice. How? How do I do that? Amanda asked hopelessly. Well, we'll have to think about it. He brushed his hand back through his wavy hair. I asked around about her. Nobody I talked to ever heard of Lorraine Eloise or Chrissy Minor. Amanda pulled Chrissy's resume from her shorts pocket. She says she lived at 3 Old Sea Road. Unless her aunt is a ghost, she doesn't live there, Dave replied, staring at the resume. That old house has been empty for years. The way a bunch of people were murdered in there. Weird story. The caretaker's son is a friend of mine. Come on, he said. You need a break. Do you have some time? Oh, sure, Amanda replied, taking his hand. Dave put Amanda's bike in the back seat of his blue 78 Mustang. They drove off, heading out of town. Ooh, my son would be jealous of that car, a 78 Mustang. When I was a teenager, I wanted a 65 Mustang hatchback. Not hatchback, fastback. That's what it was. Slowly, they climbed the steep road that ran along the shore, rising high above it. Amanda pointed out that the road where she would have turned off to go back to her summer house. As he drove, Dave motioned to a wide gate. That's a large house down that drive that has been boarded up for a few years now, he said. Wow, it's creepy as Fear Street around here. Amanda commented. Ooh. All right, just a quick thing here. I am the author of the YA horror book Vampire Juice. And here is a quick review from my YA horror book Vampire Juice. It was short and sweet and a perfect read for my short attention teen sister. She demanded to know if there was a second part. Okay, so if that interests you, my link is in the bio. Ruben Shoop, Vampire Juice. Fiercely, his expression became confused. It's a very long story, Amanda replied with a sigh. They drove on to the top of the hill. Dave pulled into a crescent-shaped parking lot. It was empty except for the phone booth. This is Channing Bluff. It's an official scenic overlook, Dave told her. Want to check it out? Sure. Amanda agreed with a smile. She climbed out of the car and made her way to the split rail fence. Shading her eyes against the sun, she gazed out past it. Steepy rock drop stretched below. 3 large boulders jutted out from the side of the bluff. Beneath them, the ocean churned. Several boulders poked up from the ocean floor. See how those boulders stick out of the side? Dave asked. My older brother and his friends painted really messed up pictures of our principal, vice principal, and dean on them about 4 years ago. We call it Sea Haven's own Mount Rushmore. Oh my goodness. I can't see the faces, said Amanda, leaning over the fence, shielding her eyes with one hand. No, but boats out on the ocean can see them, Dave said, snickering. My brother is so weird. How did they get down there? Amanda asked. They tied the paint and brushes to their belts. Then they tied ropes to these fences and lowered themselves. It was totally insane. A few minutes later, Amanda and Dave left Channing's Bluff and drove down the road to the beachside inn. They parked in front. Do you have a bathing suit? Dave asked as they got out the car. Yeah, Amanda replied. I have one on under my clothes. Dave led the way to the beach behind the inn. My brother Mike works here, he explained, pointing to the rental shed. Is he the rock painter? Amanda asked. No, that's another brother, Ed. At the shed, Dave greeted a guy with curly red hair who stood behind the rental counter. Mike, how about letting us have a wave runner for a while? I guess so, Mike agreed. No one has rented one all week. I don't think there'll be a sudden rush of wave runners rentals today. Not likely, Dave agreed. How about that blue one over there? The 2-seater. Okay, take it. Amanda followed Dave over to one of the 3 wave runners lined up at the shoreline next to the sailboats. Just keep your arms around me, Dave instructed. Interesting. Why does he want her arms around him? As Amanda climbed onto the seat behind him. Okay, Amanda agreed. She realized she felt a little shy about leaning up so close to him and wrapping her arms around his waist. Hold on now, Dave called back to her. Amanda tightened her grip around him. She liked his warm, snappy smell. She felt safe and happy holding on to him. A few minutes later, they were out on the ocean, moving fast. The fine ocean spray tickled Amanda's cheeks. Her hair whipped around her face. It felt as if they were riding a motorcycle over the top of the choppy water. Before long, a small patch of land came into sight. Dave headed right for it. He slowed down and stopped the Wave Runner on the rocky shore of the small island. Oh, so they're investigating something on a small island. Interesting. I want to show you my secret hideout, he said, taking her hand. She followed him through foliage and trees. Finally, they came to a broken-down woodshed. There it is, Dave exclaimed, gesturing proudly toward the shed. This is the secret hideout, Amanda asked. Wait until you see.
I have a question. Do you know math? You don't know math? Alright. My husband's having knee surgery, and I was like, trying to find somebody that knows math.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Sorry about that. All right. The shed was furnished with a chair, a cot, a table. Amanda spotted blankets, 2 trunks, lanterns, flashlights, and shovels. What is all this? She asked. Mike and I found the shed 3 years ago, Dave explained. It was used by hunters. They'd hunt geese and ducks, even raccoons. But hunting is illegal around here, and the game wardens were always on their cases. At first, the hunters just hid their stuff out there, but when the warden threatened to have them arrested, they finally gave up. I guess they were afraid to even come back for their stuff.